Seattle. It's Husky homecoming, and they could earn a third trip to Pasadena. A Washington victory and wins by Stanford and USC send the Huskies south for New Year's Day.
It's homecoming!
Mr. Lincoln Kennedy will be playing in Husky Stadium. He, along with the rest of the seniors for the Washington Husky team, coming off their loss to Arizona today. Now the 6th-ranked Washington Huskies take on their Northwest rivals, the Oregon State Beavers. Hello again, everybody. I'm Don Foyer. Nice to have you with us again on Prime Sports Northwest. The string is over, 22 straight, and it starts again all over again here on this Saturday afternoon up in the Northwest, and an appropriate opponent, a Northwest rival like Oregon State. Now, normally, all of us who broadcast the Northwest College's broadcast, we're never together. We're always working for our respective teams. But today, we get to join up with a good man by the name of Steve Priest. You all know him and remember him back in the late 60s. He would terrorize wide receivers in the Pac-10 when he played for the Beavers. Steve, good to have you with us today.
Thanks. Great to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's talk about somebody who's really quite exciting, and he had a big day against UCLA, Dwayne Owens on offense.
Dwayne Owens is a real talent. He's got great size. He's about 215. He's among the leaders in all-purpose yards, punt returns, kick returns, and the Beavers put the ball in his hand when they get close to the goal line or need a big first down. He's got 4.4 speed. This is an all-time OSU punt return. He beats 4 people real quick, just runs through them. You watch the acceleration. Again, 4.4 speed, over 210 pounds. He runs out of wind here. He's telling some people to pick up a block, and then he does about a forward 2.5 stop action. See that? Gets about a 9 for the dive, and oh, is he happy. But a great run.
I want to know how he stopped in midair like that. That's amazing. Let's get on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Rico Petrini, your inside or your middle linebacker, and then also Zachariah Davis, a cornerback. 2 good young players.
Well, and excellent speed with Rico. He's a young man that runs 4.5 for a linebacker. He's in on a lot of plays. Oregon State has outstanding young linebackers. Zach, on the other hand, comes from one of 4 positions in the secondary. He's played them all. Both corners strong and free. He's 3rd in the conference in tackles. He is a senior, and he's a leader on the defense. Rico just hits everything in sight. He hustles. He's got great pursuit. He'll be all over the field making tackles today.
All right, again, Steve, good to have you with us here. It'll be a fun afternoon. And again, joining us for the Husky broadcast, Mr. Chuck Nelson, the All-American place kicker. And Chuck, 2 people we haven't talked about throughout the '92 season, Mr. Gallagher and Mr. Bruner on the strong side of the offensive line.
Well, we've talked about the offensive line quite a bit because 5 of the starters this year are new, and these are 2 of them, and they've done a good job. They've got 3rd in the conference in sacks allowed. Tom Gallagher, a 6'5", 290-pound junior at the strong side. Mark Bruner played a lot as a freshman last year. Oh, it's nice to have a 230-pound tight end. Not only can he block, but you can see he can beat defenses downfield in the passing game as well.
Now, defensively, Washington has a challenge today. The #1 rushing team in the conference is Oregon State with that option offense. And 2 people who will be busy on the corners, Jaime Fields and Andy Mason.
Well, there's a lot of pressure on outside linebackers versus the option. They're virtually at the point of attack at every play. They will have to make the determination. Does the dive man have the ball? Is the quarterback going to keep it? Is the pitch man going to keep it? So Jaime Fields, you can see 6 foot, 235 pounds. Ask this 250-pound tight end for Arizona if Jaime can deliver a blow when he gets there. Andy Mason has great speed for a 230-pound player. Actually plays as a defensive end, and he can chase down quarterbacks like George Malauulu.
All right, now let's, as usual, get to the game keys. And first we go to Mr. Priest from Corvallis. What about the Beavers from Corvallis?
Washington Husky football operated for the final home game of the 1992 season. The haze and fog burned away. It's chilly, cool, but very, very nice for a Saturday afternoon in late November as the Huskies host Oregon State. Looking over this long-running series, this is the 76th meeting with Washington in the lead. And in fact, as many of you at home know, have won 14 out of the last 15. And I don't think any Husky fan will forget 1985, coming off the victory in the Orange Bowl. The next season, they lose here, 21-20, following a blocked punt. Team numbers overall in scoring offense, Oregon State not up to where Washington is, and scoring defense, where it might be a big difference today. Still in the top 5 in the nation, Washington allowing only 10 points per contest. Jerry Pettibone in his 2nd year, he is 0-1, 0-1 against the Washington Huskies. Strongly believes in this wishbone offense and feels that it will work in the Pac-10. His overall record in his second year now, 2-17-1. Going into the 1992 season, many felt that Oregon State had a very tough schedule. Well, it was second toughest in the nation, and USA Today still ranks it third toughest in the country. In fact, they opened with Kansas, if you recall, at home, and Kansas has become a legitimate contender around the country. And Don James, who is 14-1 against these Oregon State Beavers in his 18th year and 22nd overall, about to start maybe a new string of victories. 22 out of 36 quarters their opponents have not scored. Only 2 teams have scored twice or more in one quarter, that being Cal and Arizona last week. Napoleon Coffin back to receive Jamie Burke's punt, and it'll be instead going out of bounds as Jay Barry catches the ball, and they'll either do it again or set up the offense at the 30 or 35.
Flag is thrown. Looks like the ball was actually out of bounds before Jay Barry caught it, so it will be treated as if he didn't even catch it. Official call is a legal procedure against Oregon State. That'll move him back. Either kickoff from the 30, or the Huskies can elect to take the ball at the 35.
Ball will be placed on the 35-yard line. First down.
Bit of history on Oregon State's kicking. They are determined not to kick to Napoleon Coffman today. They were determined to do that before the Stanford game. Glenn Milburn ran a couple of them back against the Bees.
Mark Brunell will be at quarterback again today. His last start at the University of Washington here in Husky Stadium. Jay Barry replacing Coffman, also a senior. Jones a junior. Damon Barry and the rest of the backfield. Lincoln Kennedy along with Peterson, Jim Neville at center, Garcia and Gallagher on 1st and 10 from the 35, and Washington wants to throw right off the bat, going across the middle, has Damon Mack, who just gets a finger on it. But incomplete as Damon Mack gets the start. Mack coming in with 15 receptions for the year. Oregon State up front. They run an even front with Hale, DeSilly, Pulavati, and Ricky Pfizer. Number 40 with Tony Obilovich, the speedy Rico Petrini, and Corey Hewitt at the linebacker core. And there's your secondary. Very young, a couple of seniors, but generally speaking, this team very, very young. As a flag goes down on Jay Barry's 2nd and 10 carry. Good yardage up to the 43-yard line. But a flag indeed is down. Jim Springer is our referee today. And the offside call against the Beavers. Just underway. Oregon State coming in with a 1-7-1 record, 0-5-1 in conference play. They played well against UCLA. In fact, I believe Steve Priest, they led in the 4th quarter against the Bruins down there in Pasadena.
Well, they led in the 4th quarter then. They played very well against Stanford. In fact, the last 2 weeks, the Beavers have been in position. They've been in position to win in the 4th quarter, and that's what the coaches are hoping to accomplish this year.
They're much like a 6 or 8 handicap golfer who is even par with 3 or 4 holes to go, and they're just not comfortable in that position. They just don't know how to just finish off a good round or finish off a victory.
I agree with you, Chuck.
3rd down and 2 for Brunell and company. 3 wide receivers to the top of your screen. Possible check off. Brunell throws, has Mack, has the first down up to the 50-yard line. Just into Oregon State territory. Mack with a reception.
Huskies making the most of the return of Damon Mack. Missed last week with a punctured lung. 3 offensive plays, 2 catches for Damon Mack. He only had 15 coming into the ball game, 2 already as the Huskies move into Beaver territory.
Zachariah Davis, the senior out of Carson, California, with a tackle. 1st and 10. They call it right on the 50-yard line with 3 wide receivers now to the right. Here comes the option. Lots of room for Brunell. First down inside the 40 to the 37-yard line, where Brunell elected to keep with Jay Barry on his outside hip.
Jay Barry will ask Mark Brunell, give it to me. There's nobody out there to chase either one of us. The audible by Mark Brunell to the tight end side. The Huskies had Mark Bruner, the tight end, to that side, but all the receivers were to the wide side of the field. Oregon State had favored their receiver side. Mark Brunell read it well, kept it. Let's not take any chances once again on the pitch.
Gain of 12 yards. Herschel Curry with the tackle for Oregon State. 1st and 10 now on the 37. Barry wide to the right side. And Jay, big brother, gets the call, and he gets to the 35-yard line, where a heap of Beavers were there waiting for him, including Corey Hewitt, number 45. Tony Abilovich out of Portland. A lot of Northwesterners, of course, on the Oregon State team. Tony, a junior. And as you see, 52 tackles for the year coming in. He had 4 tackles for loss against Stanford, which tied a OSU record. 2nd down and 8. Ball on the 35. Damon Mack wide to the right, with Shelley to the left side. The pitch to Barry. A little bit more room inside the 30 to the 28-yard line, where number 21 Zachariah Davis again on the stop. Boy, they're working on that left side, aren't they?
Left side and short side.
Yeah.
The option once again. This time Mark Brunell chooses to pitch. 2 tight ends. Oregon State lines up in a balanced defense. Jason Shelley with a nice block downfield. Let's Jay Barry set up a 3rd and short situation.
Lots of times in Oregon State's aggressiveness, they will favor very strongly an odd set like that. Leave themselves wide open coming back to a weak side of a formation.
Barry was 16 yards on 3 carries, make it 4, and he got nada.
One of the measures of the intensity of a team is what they do on short yardage. Question in a game like this is, will the Huskies be prepared to play? 3rd and short there. They didn't look ready.
Chad DeSully up front along with Sai Pulavati, the 2 inside tackles, doing well for Oregon State.
Oregon State has played the entire season with lots of intensity. In some of the games they've been out of, these younger players still seem to keep coming. And it's been a true mark of the Pettibone era that Oregon State's players don't quit.
By the way, opponents are 7 for 7 on 4th down conversions against Oregon State this year. 4th and 2. Brunell still needs help. Just got it. Great work by the senior Mark Brunell. Oregon State had him dead to rights, and all of a sudden he squeaks up the sideline to get the first.
Awfully nice to have a quarterback that has the ability to do that and also has the judgment to know when to do that. 4th and 2, he knows he's got to make something happen. Rolling to his right is difficult to make the throw. Cuts it up just inside, has the speed to get around the outside, and then the wherewithal and the intelligence to know where he's got to go.
William Efron knocked him out of bounds, one of the safeties, the free safety. So 1st and 10 from the 25. Coming to the right side with Barry. A little toss sweep and nothing doing. Good defense by Oregon State. Pulavati, one of the first in there. Big, strong, young man at the senior out of Portland and Cleveland High School.
And a 190-pound walk-on at Oregon State. In fact, this Oregon State team, with the down years they've had, has a lot of people who have walked onto the program. They've been linebackers, done so many things to increase their size and become competitive.
Offsides call on Oregon State. Pulavati with 26 tackles for losses. He is the career leader now at Oregon State. The Sarah Tuaolo is the man I always remember. He could penetrate with the best of them back during the Cragthorpe era. So it's 1st and 5 for the Huskies with 3 wide receivers now to the left side. Barry, Mack, and Shelley, and 1 to the near side, that being, of course, Jay Barry. And he's looking right all the way. Tight end, Bruner, off the fingertips.
Talked about Mark Bruner. Nice to have a tight end that can get downfield. That time he gets a step behind Tony Ovilovich. The ball very well thrown. Husky crowd looking for a flag. Does Ovilovich get a grab on the top of the head right there?
Well, Tony is the son of one Mad Dog Obilovich that was on Oregon State's Rose Bowl team in '65, an All-American linebacker, and Tony plays like his dad.
They also sent Rico Petrini on the blitz that time, the inside linebacker. 2nd down and 5. So Brunell had to throw a little earlier than he wanted to. Barry on the pitch. Good pursuit by Ricky Pfizer, number 40. Along with William Efron, the free safety, coming up, and they lose 1 yard. Oregon State toughening up down here in the double or the red zone.
Once again, the option to this side. You can see Mark Brunell takes it right into the face of Ricky Pfizer, but doesn't get close enough to force Pfizer to make a decision. Mark Pfizer first forces Mark Brunell to pitch and then is in on the tackle along with William Efron.
3rd down and 6. They lose 1. Ball right on the 20. And again, trips to the right side. Brunell looking right all the way and throws to Damon Berry, short of the first down, very close. First down marker right on the 15, and they line the ball up short of it. So once again, it'll be 4th and inches.
You see the big package coming in for Washington. You see single digits going out and double digits coming in. David Mack and Napoleon Kaufman leave the field. Leif Johnson and Matt Jones come onto the field.
Aptly put.
Double digits in. Huh?
So it's 4th and inches. 1 for 1 so far. Jay Berry leaps over the 15-yard line and gets the first down.
Oregon State's defensive coaches today felt like they had to stop the run, particularly the option. They feel vulnerable to the option. They play an attacking defense and sort of sell out a lot of times on tendency. The option, particularly with a quarterback who can run and who can audible to it, really hurts the Beavers, or could hurt them today.
Oregon State last in the conference against the run, last in the conference against the pass, and obviously last in the conference in total defense. They're going to have to sell out because their defense has to make big plays. If they just line up and go nose to nose, they're going to get beat every week.
1st and 10 from the 14 with a wide receiver to each side. The toss sweep. Berry got a couple of good blocks. Cut inside of one by Mr. Frank Garcia, number 65, and gets to the 10-yard line.
Nice
5-yard gain.
Nice gain on first down. The senior Jay Berry replacing Napoleon Kaufman at tailback this week. You can see Frank Garcia pulls, Matt Jones leads. Garcia gets a piece of Petrini. Mark Bruner's man comes off right there to make a play. Brian Teed, I believe, comes inside.
Corey Hewitt comes in on the stop. So it's 2nd down and 5 from the 10-yard line. Mack to the right. They're going to go left with Napoleon Kaufman. First carry of the day. Accelerates inside the 5 for the first down. As the youngster didn't get the start, the senior did in Jay Berry, who worked hard in practice and feels healthy again.
Napoleon Kaufman is such a change of pace that when he can come off the bench and get to the hole a half a step faster than a Jay Berry, it makes the defense really have to adjust. You can see right there that Rico Petrini thought he had a shot. Before he gets a chance to set his feet, Napoleon Kaufman picks up a Husky first down.
Herschel Curry with the tackle. Now it is 1st and goal from the 4. Berry wide to the right. That's Damon. They go to Matt Jones up the middle. Pushing and a pushing and a pushing down to the 2-yard line. Herschel Curry, one of the first there, along with Corey Hewitt, as Matt Jones gets 3. He'll be back next year. He's just a junior. Matt came into the game with an average of 3.5 yards per carry, and he got just about that.
Talk about the youth of Oregon State. The Huskies on offense have become a very young team as well. Mark Brunell, a senior. Lincoln Kennedy, a senior. Damon Mack and Damon Berry both getting starts at receiver.
And with all the
but with Matt Jones, Napoleon Kaufman, Bean O'Brien apparently now going to be back out of his taking a redshirt year. Got a lot of guys returning.
2nd and goal. Berry, I think the push put him in, and it does. Touchdown Huskies. Touchdown number 3 for the man who has fought injuries all year in Jay Berry, the senior. So the Huskies take the opening kickoff and go 65 yards.
You just do what you've got to do. 2 tight ends. We're bigger, we're stronger than they are. Let's not take any chances. We're going to take 4 shots at it. We're going to get it 4 yards. It only takes them 2 shots, and Jay Berry puts the Huskies up 6-0.
Travis Hansen back to boot. He's had a perfect season so far at 29 for 29. Call it an even 3-0 for 3-0. 8:44 remaining here in the first quarter as the Huskies break the ice on a 65-yard drive from the opening kickoff. So 8:44 remaining here in the first quarter. Dwayne Owens, number 32, a chance to see him play. He's an exciting player for Oregon State, and he'll return it from his own 13. A lot of room up the middle, and then it closes in a hurry as number 27 Dante Robinson is one of the first Huskies to get to it. Owens does not start in the backfield. He is on the 2nd unit behind Jason Berry at the left halfback position. And as the Beavers come onto the field, They will get their hands on the ball for the first time. Mark Olford, the quarterback, the sophomore out of Sacramento, having a good year at 503 yards rushing. Chad Paulson, one of the leaders on this team, and the rest of the backfield. And the people up front, Fletcher Keister, he'll be in the Hall of Fame someday for a 72-yard touchdown run on the Fumblerooski against Stanford. 1st and 10, the quick penetration by Tommy Smith as they pitch to Jason Berry around the right side. Huskies thinking fumble, but that ain't the case. Shane Palcoa, one of the first in there to get him. Jamal Fontaine along with Steve Hoffman, DeMarco Farr up front. Hoffman, the youngster, Martin DeMarco back. Dave Hoffman playing his last game here in Husky Stadium along with Jaime Fields and Clifford. Reeser starting for the suspended Walter Bailey for missing class. Josh Moore, Tommy Smith with a penetration on the last play, and Shane Palcoa, also a senior. 2nd down and 8, a gain of 2 by Jason Berry. Olford, and met on a short gain by Tommy Smith. Tommy's going to be a busy guy today, it looks like. They're sending him, then he's taking the quarterback on his assignment. We'll see a lot of the rover and of course the linebackers.
We talked about how Andy Mason and Jaime Fields, the outside linebackers, will be at the point of attack. The assignment defenses for the Huskies versus the option, the outside linebackers and the strong and the safeties often switch up. Who's got the quarterback? Who's got the pitch man?
3rd down and 7. Olford with the pitch. Tommy Smith waiting for a block. He got it. Trying to get into the end zone and does. No flags. Touchdown Washington. What an individual effort by Tommy Smith. Bats the ball, gets the loose ball, waits for the blocks and scores.
1 on 11 right here. Tommy Smith. First he forces the pitch, then he gets in the pitching lane, then he picks it up. Why he doesn't just run it into the end zone, I don't know. He's going to let Jaime get his legs in, and then he wants to make it look as tough as he can. And the ball has come back.
What a terrific play by Tommy Smith.
No touchdown. The ball has come back to the 23-yard line.
It was in the backfield.
It's adjudged a lateral. The rule is a lateral. Can't return it. Thank goodness.
Napoleon Kaufman gets a good block from Richard Thomas and is able to get down to the 22-yard line.
Well, that explains why Tommy Smith was in no hurry to get into the end zone. He knew the rules. He says, I'm not going to waste my effort.
Well, what you saw on that last play by Tommy Smith is the problem Oregon State has had this year. Most teams are putting 10 people up on the line of scrimmage, leaving a cornerback out. Actually, the Dogs are keeping a free safety pretty honest, but they're bringing everyone trading off with the outside linebacker and the safety.
See, Oregon State has had some trouble versus Washington.
2nd down and 10. Kaufman, another good block inside the 10 down to the 6-yard line where Zachariah Davis lands on top of him. Boy, some good blocking by Richard Thomas again, number 30.
Outstanding blocking downfield by Richard Thomas. You see Frank Garcia pulls out as well. His short side has been successful. If Napoleon Kaufman can get good footing on Richard Thomas, he could score.
Gain of 17. He came into this game needing 149 yards to hit the 1,000-yard mark. Thomas getting some good work early in this game.
He should put some AstroTurf on his back if Napoleon's going to use them in that fashion.
1st and goal from the 6. Brunell still with a big block by number 60, Andrew Peterson, as Brunell rushes in for his 5th touchdown of the year.
He runs that option very well. Sees his people, makes his decisions. Have the Huskies used the option that much all year long? Has it been a featured play like this?
It has been a very successful play. They have run it more in this game to this point. They don't quite run it this often. They have run it this successfully, but just not quite as many times.
I wish I could say the Beavers don't practice against that.
That's right. Travis Hansen 2 for 2 today. as Washington moves out to a 14-0 lead with 6.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Credit Andrew Peterson with an outstanding block, the offensive lineman for Washington, number 60. Watch him on the left of your screen.
See the left guard there, Andy Peterson, gets into the linebacker, Corey Hewitt, and just drives him out. Mark Brunell does make the correct read, cuts it up underneath. Rico Petrini, even with his speed, is unable to get out there in time. Get a look from field angle. Those backside guys cut off all their pursuit. You see, by the time Rico Petrini gets all the way across the field, the speed of Mark Brunell has passed that pursuit angle.
He appears to be a 4.7 or better quarterback. Is that right? Is
he was a 4.5 and blew his knee out
wow.
2 springs ago. Missed the entire, about half of the season, I guess.
Half
by the time he came back much sooner. His straightaway speed has virtually gotten back to where it was, 4.5, 4.6. And now you see his agility has gotten back as well.
Talking with NFL scouts. In fact, I talked with one from, well, I can't say the team, but I said, what do you think of Brunell? Well, he get a look, and he says, does the name Steve Young sound familiar?
Yeah.
And they love his mobility, and that seems to be one of the new crazes in the NFL.
Mark feels that his time off with the injury has made him a better passer as well. He's a little bit more patient in the pocket. He was forced to just stand around and throw the ball virtually for 6 or 8 months.
Chad Polson back to receive along with Owens. And it'll be Owens from the 9. Big seam up to the 35, the 40-yard line. Good return by Dwayne Owens, who came into the game averaging almost 20 yards per return. And they'll set it up.
Beavers haven't had quite the success in the kickoff return area they had last year. Had some toughness with timing issues with the wedge, but Owens is tremendous talent. His uncle James Owens was out of UCLA, a first-round pick of the Detroit Lions. Was there last week to watch the all-time OSU punt return.
Owens will stay in this time on offense. 1st and 10 from the 40 after a 30-yard return by Owens. Wolford at quarterback in his 2nd year, true sophomore. There's the pitch. No gain. James Clifford coming in, number 53 for the tackle. On the ball carrier, Chad Polson.
Oregon State that time has hat on hat. They have a man assigned to block everybody out there, but Dwayne Owens has got to make a block on James Clifford so they can get around the corner. You can see Cliff comes off the block and makes the play.
And that is probably why Dwayne Owens isn't in the ball game all the time. He's such a talent, but he's had tough time blocking, coming on each week, getting better.
Richard Washington getting some play. Reggie Reeser. As the timeout is called by Olford, Reeser's number was changed to number 5 for this game on a late announcement. So we'll take a timeout and be back in just a moment. There's your time remaining here in the first quarter, and Washington with 14-point lead. The 2nd touchdown coming on the turnover on the batted lateral by Tommy Smith, which you cannot advance. Thought you could, but you can't. 2nd down and 9. And we want to get Steve Priest in here to tell us a little bit about the mechanics, maybe on the next play, of what goes on this offense. And there is a lot, believe me. And right now, Olford is able to get a little bit more yardage. Thought he was going to go down in his own backfield. Steve Hoffman in there, number 91, and Clifford. All right, now what's going on right from the huddle up to the snap of the ball, Steve?
Normally, when one of the options is called in the huddle, Alford will come up, he'll count the people basically and decide whether it's going right or left. After he makes a right or left call, the lineman will then tell people on the onside of the ball, halfbacks included, who to block. Then Alford simply reads the pitch man, pitches or keeps.
Okay, so we now know which way we're going, and everybody's called off their blocking assignments. This time didn't work. Jamal Fontaine, number 47, in on the tackle. So there's the preliminary call in the huddle, direction call from the quarterback, then the linemen make a call.
Linemen and offensive backs then have to make a call for the pitch. And what hurts it, and the reason that that we saw the timeout a second ago is that if Washington then moves linemen, there has to be a second series of calls.
And in the meantime, the 25-second clock keeps going down. Tim Colas back to punt. A junior out of Portland, and Jesuit High School. There's Napoleon Kaufman to return it. Low driving punt and out of bounds as Colas was trying to get it into the corner and avoid Napoleon Kaufman if at all possible. Colas averaging 42, almost 43 yards per punt. In fact, he had a 72-yarder against Kansas, Steve.
Well, he's been the leader in the Pac-10 for a lot of the season this year, but starting with Stanford a couple of weeks ago and last week too, he's been trying to kick the ball out of bounds because Oregon State's had a tough time with some return people.
When you're facing return people the quality of Glenn Milburn and Napoleon Kaufman, sometimes the average will suffer for the sake of strategy.
Huskies up by 2 touchdowns with 4:18 remaining here in the first quarter. 1st and 10 from the 23-yard line. And Brunell to throw. Looking over the middle, trying to get to his tight end. Bruner just couldn't keep his feet. Pretty good coverage by Obilovich as well.
Mark Bruner from about 3 yards off the line of scrimmage looks like he's running in sand. He's trying to catch his balance all the way down. He had a step on Obilovich, but had the stagger.
In total offense, Mark Brunell is working his way up the career ladder with 3,700 yards. Don Heinrich the next in line. Chandler Conklin, boy, a lot of familiar names up there. Billy Joe cracking in there. He's already reached the 3,000 mark, of course, in passing, and only the 9th quarterback to do that. Here comes Kaufman. Short of the first down to the 32-yard line. Zachariah Davis, one of the first in there, along with Kane Rogers, number 17, a freshman out of Tacoma.
So the up front people just try to get man on man, let the quickness and reading ability of Napoleon Kaufman almost create a hole. You can see he gets up to the point where he's one-on-one with Kane Rogers. A nice tackle by Kane Rogers in the open field.
And Kane is another one of these quarterbacks Oregon State brings in to run the option that's starting in the middle as a redshirt freshman.
3rd down and 2, and has become a linebacker. Kaufman has the first down to the 36-yard line where he's upended by Herschel Curry, number 20. Curry, a redshirt junior out of San Jose, transfer out of Chabot College.
We talked when Oregon State had the ball about how those offensive backs that aren't carrying it in the option have to help out and make blocks. That time Richard Thomas with an outstanding lead block, allowing Napoleon Kaufman to pick up the first down.
1st and 10 from the 36. Going upstairs again. Plenty of time. And dropped by Richard Thomas. Looking upfield before he had his mitts wrapped around him. As Corey Hewitt was there defensively.
You mentioned the statistics for Oregon State's defense and how they are last in each category. Many times this season Oregon State has played pretty good pass defense, gotten 0 if any pass rush, and a long pass has been completed downfield 50-60 yards after the quarterback has 3 or 4 looks in 4 or 5 seconds.
They bring Eric Bjornson out to the right side on 2nd down and 10. Shelley to the left. This is the play used quite a bit against Arizona as Thomas goes down. Short gain to the 39.
Brunell passing to Richard Thomas.
Room to ramble if he can stay on his feet.
Right. That was about the only effective play against Arizona last week, getting away from the rush.
Run the fullback out of the backfield. He looks like a lead blocker to this point, and then he just kind of drifts out into the flat. Obviously the ball needs to be delivered in such a manner where he can catch it and keep his feet. If he can, he can turn upfield, and you're not faced with a 3rd and 7.
Gain of 3, so it's 3rd down and long. Brunell looking eye to eye with Chad DeSully, number 96, playing defensive tackle. Lots of room for Mark to run. He's got the first down to the 50 and into Oregon State territory as Herschel Curry forces him out of bounds. Not until he gets the first down.
Nothing destroys a defense quicker than coverage, well in both the line area and the linebacker secondary, and having somebody take off on you and get the big first down.
Well, as a defense, you feel like you've done your job. You've protected against what the offense wanted to do to you, but then you've got an offense that can create a problem into an opportunity via the speed of Mark Brunell.
You mentioned him in light of Steve Young, and that wonderful.
Mark, 8th career leading passer in the University of Washington, knocking on the door of Mr. Tom Flick as Kaufman gets the pick and has room. Andrew Peterson in front of him, gets around the corner, tripped up by number 25, Reggie Tongue. The left cornerback able to come down with the angle to trip it.
As you said, Don, he needed 149 yards coming into the ball game to get over 1,000 for the season. He's well on his way with runs like this one. Once again, outstanding lead blocks. Andrew Peterson, look at him. He's 15 yards, 20 yards downfield. His first block is on a corner. When your guard can get that much yardage, you know you're opening some holes. A great effort by Reggie Tongue to just clip the heel of Napoleon Kaufman.
31-yard gain by the sophomore. 1st and 10 from the 16. Brunell looking into corner. Bjornsson! Touchdown, Washington! His first touchdown catch came against Arizona State to begin the season, and he gets his second here against Oregon State. Mark Brunell's 4th touchdown pass of 1992.
You set him up with the run. You run, you run, you run. You give the quarterback time to throw. You let those receivers virtually run free.
And that was against Oregon State's best defensive man-to-man guy, William Efren. Strong player. Plenty of time, you got problems.
When you're 6'5", that speed is deceiving in Bjornsson's part. Hansen is 3 for 3 as the Huskies take a commanding 21-0 lead with 1:58 left here in the first quarter. And if the trend continues, I'm sure Don James would love to get Damon Huard into this game and get some experience for the future.
He'd like to get some experience for the future. It's also the last home game for a number of Husky seniors. He'd like to get those guys some play as well.
Touchdown was number 4, the pass, as I said, for Mark Brunell.
We talk about young quarterbacks and players coming back. Eric Bjornsson with his 2nd touchdown catch as a Husky wide receiver, the converted quarterback. Just a very well run post corner route. Very well thrown ball. As you said, Don, 6'5". You don't realize how much ground he's covering with each of those strides. He runs a 4.5 40. Not bad for a 6'5" quarterback.
You just don't realize it until you meet it face to face. Hey, this guy can move. And he's tall, and I can't keep up with him.
I think at the beginning of last year's game, when the Huskies hadn't been scored on first all season, and the Beavers actually got a break on a fumble, kicked a field goal, and the warning Chuck gave us at Oregon State was it may make someone mad. And I think it was 58 points later.
That's right. 58-6, 2 field goals by Oregon State. Owens again had a 30-yard return last time, and he's wrestled down just short of the 25-yard line.
The difference between this one and this kickoff return and the last one, this time the ball is kicked deep and in the corner as opposed to low and in the middle.
James Kilpatrick on the tackle along with Lamar Lyons for the Huskies. 17-yard return by Owens.
You just don't want to give him a crease from the defensive side. He can fly, and he will break tackles.
The drive itself, 77 yards, eating up almost 2.5 minutes. And the pass to Bjornsson, his 2nd TD catch. Ian Shields now in at quarterback, the man backing up Mark Olford. He's a sophomore out of Oregon City, number 15. Going to the fullback, or the up man in this case, as Ian Shields is now running the offense.
Well, Ian Shields and Mark Alford were virtually even before the season. They finally gave the job to Mark Alford. He earned it. Ian has played a bit each game. Oregon State's system says that you have to have 2 quarterbacks as you have to have 2 fullbacks because they take a pounding. The Beavers also have a 3rd quarterback, Don Shanklin, number 7, who you will probably see today. Very talented young man.
Gain of 7, so it's 2nd down and 3 as they spread it out a little bit more. Fumble, great carpet bounce. Look out. And run all the way is Julius Young, as they're starting to get into the charts now for Oregon State to try to see if they can get something going.
And Young, the sophomore out of South Pasadena, gets into Husky territory down to the 38-yard line, a run of 31 yards.
This is the double option, which is without a fullback fake. J.J. Young started last year as a freshman for Oregon State. He is their fastest player. He runs right around 4.4 even, has even touched it under that. He's been out all season until 2 games ago with a bad ankle.
Reggie Reeser makes the stop number 5 with help from teammates. 1st and 10. Ian Still, no, not with it. He fakes well. Fakes very well.
It reminds me of the fumble Ruski 2 weeks ago, where no one saw it from the camera point of view. No one much saw it on the field either. And Fletcher Keister strode into the end zone with a long 72-yarder.
If you hadn't seen it, you'd think you might have heard the rumbling as he covered those 72 yards.
There he is. A solid football player who will probably play beyond after college. Got good size.
Curtis Willis carrying on the last play. 2nd down and 8. Rugged running on the left side as Oregon State goes with Reynolds.
Playing defense against the option is a matter of trying to beat the odds. You can stuff it time after time after time. It only takes one mistake, either mental or physical, and you can give up a big play.
Well, against Fresno State, Oregon State had over 470 yards. It can destroy you if you play it wrong.
First quarter is over. Cameron Reynolds carried last, has 107 yards to his credit. We'll see more of him as we begin the second quarter in just a moment. Hazy, but somewhat clear. Sunshine trying to get out. It's 3rd down and 5 for Oregon State. Ian Shields is the quarterback, and this time the pursuit a little better by Washington as Shane Palcoa and Dave Hoffman get in there. Gain of 1 for Shields.
What you saw again was the double option. It is an option without a fullback fake. Quarterback opens, they get an extra blocker because the fullback leads out. Problem Oregon State has had with it is it takes the middle linebacker right with the fullback and brings someone else into the play, and you need the counter to keep people honest.
Jamie Burke and the Beavers at least lining up to try a 48-yard field goal, but a timeout called, so we shall see. It's the 2nd timeout taken by the Beavers. Jamie Burke in a slump, to say the least. He has made only one of his last 8 attempts as he looks at a 48-yarder, Steve.
And a very solid kicker yet last year and the year before. He's a baseball player, should be drafted fairly high in baseball. A solid athlete, and he's gotten into a bit of a slump, just had some problems. Chuck, you could probably tell us from a kicker's perspective. We've discussed it over and over as to what goes through a kicker's mind. Jamie's just having a tough go right now.
Well, when you're kicking, you're trying to think back on something positive. It's a matter of feel and rhythm. And if you have not had any success, if you haven't hit any kicks the way you want to hit them, it's not in your memory banks. It's like hitting golf shots, to use that analogy once again. If you haven't hit a good 3-iron in a long time, you're standing over a 3-iron and you don't know what it feels like, and so your muscle memory can't come back.
I know that feeling myself.
All you've got to do, you need to have some success. You need to hit a couple of kicks that feel like the way you want them to feel.
Well, Jamie was very solid this year through the first several games, and then had an opportunity against Washington State where he missed a short field goal, tough angle, right hash, 10-yard line. Ended up missing 4 in the first half of that ball game, and he hasn't been the same since.
So here we go, a 48-yard attempt, and it's going to be way short. Anybody get a hand on it?
That was about as close to a whiff as you're going to get. Unfortunately for Oregon State, when it rains, it pours. Most of his troubles have been to the left, hitting the ball hard and hooking it. Obviously, an overcompensation here. When you're hitting hard hooks, you're hitting it too high on the ball, too high on your foot. You can see right here that he just kind of catches it way out on his toe, and it's never on the meat of his foot. One for your last 9.
Looks like he almost may have hit the carpet to be that far off.
I tell you, when the locusts come, they eat everything.
1st and 10 for Washington now on the 31-yard line. Brunell at quarterback. Here's Jay Barry around the left side for short yardage up to about the 33-yard line, where number 21 Zechariah Davis, one of the first to get to him. Looking back at the first 15 minutes,
total yardage going towards Washington, as you would expect, with a 21-0 lead. And the most productive that offense has been in one quarter in 1992.
It was 42 yards for Oregon State, obviously all on the ground. Last year's Washington-Oregon State game, Oregon State 0 for 4 in the passing game, 0 yards for the entire game.
2nd down and 8 for the Huskies after the 2-yard run by Berry. 2 wide receivers to the top of your screen. And David Mack digs it out, and they call it complete. Short to just about the 37-yard line. As it was low and away. Darius Turner getting some action now at fullback, by the way, number 31. And they're taping up a Beaver.
That is Mark Alford, Oregon State starting quarterback. Great runner, as we've seen, over 50 yards a game. Does an excellent job of turning up and keeping the ball and getting better all the time.
The tighter you tape them, the faster you run. Isn't that the way it works?
Yeah. 3rd down and 4. Play action, wanting to go deep, and he's got a man. Berry, and good defensive play by Herschel Curry, number 20, the junior out of San Jose.
Herschel Curry is a very interesting story. Never played football in high school, went in the service. He's 26 years old. Came out, walked on to a junior college to try as a receiver. Was good enough to come to Oregon State. Take a look here. He comes. He's a great man-to-man cover guy and got super speed, but there's a 26-year-old just learning how to play. Started his first college game ever at a position he'd never played before against Kansas.
John Wardell back to punt for Washington, his first attempt today. And Owens back to receive it. Very dangerous man as he's brought down at the 30 by Bruce Bailey. He had a 97-yard return for touchdown against UCLA in the Rose Bowl last week. And that man knows better than anybody what he did with the ball last week.
When an opponent gets a chance to nail a kicker, they will take it. Punter is always assigned to be a safety on the play. Punters and kickers, we like to think we're a little macho and can do things too. John Wardell doing his best to stay on his feet.
Well, that was a kicker comment, wasn't it, Doc?
It was.
He was trying to get Datfield to make that tackle all the way, I could tell.
He had a 36-yard punt. It'll look good on the films Monday in class. 1st and 10.
Incomplete.
As Ian Shields attempts the first pass by Oregon State today. We should also mention, we were talking about Curry. He has Oregon State's only block of the year in terms of blocking a field goal or a punt. 12:39 here in the 2nd quarter.
Oregon State does feel they can block a punt on the Huskies. I was surprised. Their coaches told me beforehand they thought they'd come for the ball, bring Herschel from the outside, and I expect to see it before the day's over.
2nd down and 10 after the incomplete pass on the 31. Lots of people in the backfield, including purple jerseys, as Josh Moore brings down Shields.
Just a broken play right there. Ian Shields went the wrong direction.
Like a traffic jam in the backfield.
There's a whole mess of Hoffmans as well. You can see the penetration right here by Steve Hoffman.
Oh, ouch.
Ian Shields just tries to get what he can. Go back and start it over again.
Oregon State believes you have to protect the crease, which is that area between the center and the tackles, or center and guards, but there was none then.
Dave Hoffman coming off a 12-tackle day against Arizona as a flag goes down. Jim Springer, the referee. Movement on number 63, who's the left tackle, Jim Buchanan, for Jerry Pettibone.
Jim's just stepping in as a starter the last 3 weeks, playing very well. Junior.
And the procedure call on the Beavers.
Talk about the crease and the protection. That shot before, when Steve Hoffman came right through the center, the crease disappeared beyond the fullback.
Oregon State 13th in the country in rushing. People just ahead of them, Kansas, a team that played them in Corvallis, then West Virginia at 11th, Colorado State 10th, Nebraska number 1 at over 350 yards per game. On 3rd and 14, nothing doing. And it'll be time to punt.
And a very normal if you will, play for Oregon State. On a third down, they run their option just like if it was 3rd and 3. They call the option. If teams set outside, they'll go ahead and run the fullback up the middle. They believe they have to throw 25 to 30% of the time, but they just haven't been able to put it in their offensive repertoire. They haven't got the passing game down as yet.
Colas back to punt. With that kind of offense, though, it really demands super athletes, because you're breaking the game down to lots of one-on-one situations everywhere on the field. If you got the better athlete. Nice punt by Colas. Kaufman trying to go outside into Beaver territory and out of bounds at the 36-yard line. A 34-yard return by Kaufman, who is 10th in the NCAA right now, averaging better than 13 yards per return. Boy, helped his average on that run.
And Tim Colas has always this season kicked the ball low. They've been very easy return balls. And again, just like a couple of weeks ago with Glenn Milburn, a lot of headway there for the Dogs.
His punt was 42 yards. 1st and 10 on the 36-yard line. Jason Shelley wide to the left side. They'll keep it on the ground as Barry is in big trouble. Coming in, number 21, Zachariah Davis, and a host of Beavers coming in, smelling that one out beautifully. Ricky Pfizer, the one that kind of threw a wrench into matters right off the bat.
Huskies try to pull the offside offensive line, but the onside offensive linemen are downfield, and everybody forgets about Ricky Pfizer. Jay Barry left to fight for his life. You can see Frank Garcia tries to keep the 6th man off the pile, but those first 5 had done their damage.
Loss of a big 5. It'll be 2nd down and 15. 4 wide receivers, 2 to each side. Now they bring the tight end in, Mark Bruner. Looking throwing all the way. Theron Hill, the freshman, is tackled down by Davis, the right cornerback. Short gain.
The audible by Mark Brunell. The take what they give you theory on 3rd or on 2nd and 15. You better hope they're giving you a lot.
Theron with 3 receptions coming into this afternoon's game and averaging 12 yards per catch.
Along with Jason Shelley, 2 true freshmen the Huskies feel very good about at the receiver position.
3rd down and 13 after the 2-yard gain. Hill and Shelley, the 2 freshmen to the left side, going across to Shelley, can't hold on, and Damon Mack was open down the middle deep.
Had 1st down yardage if they're able to complete the throw and catch. Crossing routes run by both Theron Hill and Jason Shelley. You can see the short man is Hill, the deeper of the 2 is Jason Shelley. Very well thrown ball. Going across the middle is a tough thing to do when you know you've got William Efren waiting for you. Jason Shelley has made that catch in the past.
Seems to have been a surprising day here. Already Michigan was tied by Illinois at Michigan. A prohibitive favorite going into the game were the Wolverines. The November bug. Oh, hesitation by Wardell. Good penetration. There's the block you guys were talking about. But Wardell is able to get it at least away and down to the 24-yard line. Number 78. Go ahead, Steve. Say it.
I don't think that was a planned block, to tell you the truth. I think Alai Kalanivalo just slipped through untouched.
See, John Wardell double clutches it right here. That ball's kicked on time, kicked in rhythm. It's not a problem.
Alai skied, but he was on his way down. I don't think he's used to being back there 8-9 yards.
I'll try to say it. Alai Kalanuvalu. That's his name. He is out of Seattle and Franklin High School and Walla Walla Community College.
You can see he was just left untouched. Nobody blocked him.
1st and 10 for Oregon State. Shields still in at quarterback, wanting to throw. Complete up to the 30, short of the 1st down. It'll be very close as number 80 Maurice Wilson makes the reception. That's his 6th of the season.
Talk about Maurice Wilson a second. A Sporting News freshman All-American 4 years ago. True freshman starting, great player. Many thought he'd be an all-star in this conference as a wide receiver. When the regime switched and it came to this type of an offense, Maurice has hung right in there. He's been offensive lineman of the week 3 or 4 times this season already with his blocks. he's phenomenal the way he's able to block, and I think he'll be happy somewhat to get to catch the ball next year if he gets a shot in the pros.
After the completion, it is only 2nd and 1. Young in the backfield with Willis and Paulson. Shields still with it. Able to outrun Clifford, gets the first down, and up to the 48-yard line is Ian Shields, the backup quarterback for the injured Mark Olford.
Ian does not have anywhere near the speed that Mark Alford has. He's injured right now. Looks like maybe a contact problem.
He ran for 15 yards.
Yeah, he's got a contact that's coming out there. Ian does not have the speed, but he handles the offense very well. Does not make mistakes. Very disciplined. Stays on the line of scrimmage, which is critical in the double option.
Is he the better passer of the two?
At the start of the season, that was what the case was to be made. But he doesn't or hasn't had any more success. Now Alford's back in now. Ian is a pitcher in baseball, so that may say something, except I think his ERA was 8.
It does say something. 1st and 10. They go with Willis, who took a lick from Dave Hoffman. I believe it was Dave getting in there, wasn't it, Chuck? Hit on Willis.
Curtis Willis will be able to tell us. They run the dive with Alford back in the ball game. Takes the pitch and misses the first lick, then gets to the second wave, and that second wave comes crashing down on him.
Did you see the shot on Mark Alford after he handed off? That's what the.
Is that what they were groaning about? I was groaning about Hoffman's hit, let alone the other one.
Many coaches defensively against the option feel like you have to hit the quarterback on every play to shake up his decision making as well as his running.
2nd and 8. Tough pitch. What a catch. But out of bounds. And the loss and the pursuit by Clifford going against Young.
Take a look, if we get a shot of this again, at the shot that Mark Alford, the quarterback, takes. He hands off to Curtis Willis. Now watch in the end. Is that cheat? Who is that?
Andy Mason.
Andy Mason just kills him. That's why Oregon State plays with 2 and 3 sometimes quarterbacks.
Pretty good hit by Hoffman, too.
And why they play with 2 and 3 fullbacks.
And on the 16th of November, they will go down to their final 3 selections for the Butkus Award. Hoffman already in the top 10, hoping to make that final cut. 3rd down and 10 for the Beavers. Ball on the 48 of Oregon State. Triple option. Alford on the ground. Paulson there. Jimmy Clifford is able to slow him down somewhat, short of the first down, as Tommy Smith comes over to finish him off.
Dangerous offense.
Well, Mark
Alford gets
Alford
thrown around quite a bit.
Mark has had problems this year with not knowing the relationship with his back. He'll himself get off the line of scrimmage, won't know where the halfback is because of his movement. He's such an intuitive player that he'll jump back, forward. All of a sudden the halfback's not in the right position. He goes to pitch and it's trouble.
Whose responsibility is that, Steve? Is it the running back's responsibility to keep his relationship with the quarterback, or does the quarterback know where the back is?
Well, it's both, actually, Chuck. The halfback has to stay in a relationship, but sometimes Mark Alford makes it very, very difficult to do that because he's all over the field with his great quickness.
Fair catch called by Napoleon Kaufman on the 16-yard line. We'll take a timeout with 6:10 remaining here in the first half. Washington up by 3 touchdowns. Here in the first half, and it's 1st and 10 for the Washington Huskies after the punt. Napoleon Kaufman finding a seam. Going to keep his feet? Not quite. As number 20 again, Herschel Curry with the tackle. And Kaufman, see if it's that knee again or the ankle or the toe.
Got virtually everything below the end of his pants has been injured at one time or another this year. You see Herschel Curry comes up and makes the play.
See that?
Catches his own heel.
He may have kicked himself in the Achilles tendon too.
With his bad turf toe. You can't even limp. You got injuries on both limbs.
2nd down and 1 after the gain of 9. Play action. They set it up over to Damon Berry. Berry looking for the block, gets one from Matt Jones, and he is up to the 32-yard line. Interesting play.
A little creativity, get the ball to a wide receiver out in the open field, run a couple of linemen out to try to get in front of him. Kind of a wide receiver screen.
7-yard gain by Damon.
Only a sophomore, as his big brother, the senior Jay, playing his last home game. First and 10, ball on the 33-yard line with a wide receiver to each side. And the sprint out. Got a man, Mack, first down at the 47-yard line, defended by Corey Hewitt along with Curry, number 20.
Nice to have a left-handed quarterback when you're rolling to the left. We've seen Mark roll to the right and have some trouble turning his shoulders. This time gets the shoulders turned, and then a great job by David Mack of continuing to come back to the ball, getting his hands on it, and then getting his elbows underneath it.
I sure like the way Brunell sets up, whether it's running or standing. He's got his shoulders square. This looks great.
Mack has 4 catches today for 32 yards, as you saw the flag go down. Chad DeSully, number 96, the left defensive tackle in the way.
Dead ball. Encroachment. Defense. 5 yards.
We already mentioned Paulavati as a linebacker walk-on. DeSully was a linebacker. The other 2 were also linebackers. Everybody in that front 4 is a beefed-up linebacker since coming to Oregon State. 2 are walk-ons.
Yeah, none of them that heavy, but you're going with the quickness. 220, 260, 272, and 243. You're up front. 4 people.
We're also going with the size as far as Oregon State's concerned.
Kaufman must be all right as he gets the first down to the 35-yard line. Davis with the tackle.
Yeah, I think whatever it is that he did injury-wise, he's ran off the field and fixed it. See, Knights once again blocks upfield by Frank Garcia, who seals off the inside. The spin move by Kaufman picks up 5 more. 26 years old. Herschel Curry hasn't seen a lot of those.
No kidding.
Well, he's down to 60 yards to hit that 1,000-yard mark. Nobody's ever done it in their sophomore year at Washington. First and 10 from the 35. Now the play action to Kaufman. Looking for the receiver. Got his fullback wide open. Matt Jones down to the 30-yard line. I think Brunell wanted to check all of his receivers before he finally went to maybe his last option, the fullback.
We had 3 people open. As soon as he got off of the center, got away from center, checked deep first, ended up as he got closer and closer to the sidelines, the receivers got closer and closer to him. Matt Jones is the winner by default.
Brunell now 9 of 15 for 63 yards, 1 touchdown. That one the 16-yarder to Bjornsson. Second down and 5 from the 30. Bjornsson to the near side. And buried to the far as Kaufman gets the first down inside the 25. Washington's balance coming into this game almost exactly 50-50 running versus passing. So the balance you want has been there, and the yards and points have been there, other than the Arizona game.
Averaging 195 yards per game on the ground, 190 yards passing. Obviously that passing number helped immensely last week. Mark Brunell with his career day in the Arizona loss, 243 yards, 25 completions for Mark Brunell last week. That's more than the Oregon State quarterbacks and running backs have had all year.
Hill, Bjornsson, Shelley to the left side. They stay on the ground, and Jay Barry gets stuffed. Kane Rogers on top of the pile along with Paulavati. Lincoln Kennedy on the bottom.
When that play is reviewed in the tape session tomorrow night, the offensive lineman will say, Jay, we had a hole for you. Why didn't you run through it? Looked like inside a little bit. Lincoln Kennedy and his mates had created a seam. Lincoln Kennedy, one of the 4 finalists for the Lombardi Award, top lineman in the country.
Second down and 9. Nearly the same formation, just different receivers, 3 to the left side. Little bootleg, looks for help, gets away, may have to run, gets down short of the first down, but is to the 16-yard line is Brunell. Good coverage in the secondary by Oregon State.
Oregon State has not played poorly in the secondary this season. It's amazing. They've got tons of yards against them, but so many, as I said earlier, have come with no rush, quarterback having all kinds of time, receiver coming back, turning around and spinning deep. Different things where Oregon State plays so much man-to-man coverage, they're left out there to hang.
One thing they've done well on the rollouts by Mark Brunell is have had somebody in his face and have forced him to keep the ball longer than he wants to.
Third down and 2. He sends 2 to the right side. Barry
Good job by Davis holding him up, number 21 in the backfield, and allowed the pursuit to come in and make the kill. No gain. It'll be 4th and 2.
You talk about aggressive defense. Here's your corner making the play in the backfield. Zechariah Davis closes on Jay Barry, slows him up long enough for Kane Rogers and Corey Hewitt to jump on the pile, forces Travis Hansen to come on the field for the Huskies.
Davis, go ahead, Steve.
Oregon State has had 4 defensive backs in the top 20 in tackles most of the season in the Pac-10. That tells you something.
That's good and bad.
That's right.
A 35-yard, they'll call it officially, 34-yard field goal attempt by Hansen. It is long enough, and it is good. So Travis Hansen now 10 of 13 in the field goal department with that 34-yard boot. We'll be back in a moment. Hansen, and Washington goes up 24-0. The drive itself, which was capped by this, it was almost straight away field goal by Hansen, who, by the way, is quietly putting together an awfully solid year kicking for the Huskies.
10 for 13, missed his opening one of the year, came back to add this 34-yarder. Nice 67-yard drive. You can see we talked about balance. 6 running plays, 4 passing plays.
Owens back to receive along with Paulson. Owens again in his own end zone. Here he comes. And he got to the 20, so he's into +5 yards at the 25, where he's brought down by number 25, Lamar Lyons.
I think the motivation of kickoff return men when they know they're making a questionable decision, all they want to do is avoid the wrath of the coaching staff and get outside the 20.
Yeah, that's why I say plus territory.
Well, he's had far too many chances to return kicks this year.
Lots of practice.
A lot of kickoff returns. They put it at the 24 as Olford will be at quarterback. The sophomore out of Sacramento and Grant High School. A lot of good football players out of that city. 1st and 10. 2:25 for Oregon State here in the second quarter. Polson the pitch man. Olford's got lots of room now. Great block by Young. Balcoa knocks him out of bounds at the 46-yard line, and great execution by the Beavers and Olford. The best we've seen today.
Well, Olford has a tendency to get a little bit off the ball. Sometimes that's because off the line of scrimmage, let's say. He does that sometimes because of penetration. They're great blocking inside. Now watch J.J. Young, number 9, makes the great block on the safety, frees Olford. Olford does have fine speed.
Playing defense against the option, you're going to face it 70 times a game. You might stuff at 65, but those 5 big plays
right.
can get you.
Hillary Butler and Lewis Jones learned a lesson on that play. Trying to go up the middle this time with Willis.
And Jerry Pettibone's last turnaround job at Northern Illinois, he ran the super option situation, turned out with a quarterback who could run and throw. They led the nation in rushing. We're always up there in passing too, and he knows that's the secret. You got to get somebody who can do them both.
One correction, John Young carrying the ball, number 44. My goodness, Nebraska falls today. Huskies are going to be back up there about number 2 again. Right there going.
A big victory for Jim Walden and Iowa State over the Cornhuskers.
After that win against Kansas last week. On the pitch and the first down for Oregon State, Julius Young. Lots of Youngs in that backfield for Oregon State. John and Julius.
You see the big wrap on JJ's left leg there. That's where he had the broken, I believe it was broken fibula, that kept him out until 2 games ago. He's a welcome addition. Back on the other side, watch the blocking you'll get out of 35, Chad Paulson all day. He was an honorable mention all Pac-10 performer last year. Just does a super job. Was a safety 2 years ago.
1st and 10 from the 41 of Washington. Young carries the ball. This time John, the fullback. He inside the 40. Dave Hoffman with an arm wrapped around the right leg of Young. 4-yard gain, which is about what you'd like on first down. The time you get 4 from your fullback on the option, you're doing things right.
Oregon State has been very successful if they can just not have lost yardage or a miscue in the pitch. All season long, if they'll take a workmanlike position, go down at 3, 4, 5 yards of the whack, they gain a lot of yards.
2nd down and 6 after the offensive lineman switched sides. Wanting to throw, looking over the top. Intercepted, Tommy Smith. Shane Falcoa had it in his mitts, and it finally landed in Tommy Smith's hands for his 3rd interception of the year.
Do they have assists in football?
They should. They should.
Shane Falcoa certainly gets one here. Steve Priest just talking about how you got to have a quarterback that can do both. Obviously, throwing the ball is not the strength of Mr. Alford. Shane Falcoa just waits for it.
In fact, Alford throws the ball pretty well if he can stand there, not throw a touch pass, but just drill it. But you can see the touch, it's just not there. He's had trouble with it all season. He's missed several times, people wide open, running open 5, 10, 15 yards behind defenders.
Polson, the intended receiver. 1st and 10 on the 41-yard line after the Beavers were able to get into Husky territory. Brunell with lots of time. Shelley to the 30 and the 28-yard line. Brought out of bounds by Reggie Tong, the redshirt freshman out of Fort Wainwright.
The pressure that Mark Brunell can put on a defense once he breaks the pocket. The defense itself doesn't know what he's going to do. The speed of Jason Shelley just flat outruns Zechariah Davis across the field.
32-yard gain. So it's 1st and 10 on the +27 as Shelley comes to the left side. 2 to the left, 1 to the right side. Brunell down the middle. Intercepted by William Efren, I believe it was. Yes, indeed, his 4th of the year. Ernie Conwell was the intended receiver as Ephraim steps in front of him, a sophomore out of Fontana, Oregon. Matt Jones, the intended receiver, rather than Conwell. I think, well, we'll check it. Let's see.
We'll take a look here. You can see
coming from free safety, he's a corner, free safety, you name it, what positions he has to come up with. Just reads it real well, streaks over there from the free position and helps his linebacker.
Mark Brunell obviously didn't account for William Ephraim playing deep center field.
Thought he had a cherry-picked touchdown right there.
But and Conwell's a fast tight end, but that time the pass a little short.
Well, we knew Ernie Conwell had a step on the man that had him from the line of scrimmage, but once again, you've got to count all those people hanging in the back.
Good 1st down carry by John Young, again the fullback, but of course that may have something to do with the time remaining in the 1st half, which is 3, 2, 1 second, and the half is over as Washington State goes in with a 24-0 lead over the Oregon State Beavers. It's halftime at homecoming, and we'll return right after our own timeout. About to begin as Washington leads by 3 touchdowns and a field goal, 24-0. And here at halftime, a very special occasion. Funds were raised by TCI Cablevision in a joint marketing campaign with Prime Sports Northwest and Showtime, raising $22,000 donated to the University of Washington Educational Opportunity Program. That's for over 4,500 customers, helped by as well. I can read it here for you. The funds were raised through a campaign titled the Apple Cup Challenge, where the new TCI customers or present customers could designate which university was to receive a portion of their bill, and over 4,500 customers picked the University of Washington for their donation. The Educational Opportunity Program provides scholarships and ongoing support to minority students at the University of Washington. So congrats to everybody involved, raising $22,000 for the Washington Educational Opportunity Program. Ready to go with the 2nd half. Ready to go with the 2nd half. I'm Don Poyer along with Chuck Nelson, Steve Priest. The terrific trio here bringing you some college football. Prime Sports Northwest. Washington kicking off. And Dwayne Owens, doing like he did against UCLA, finds the seam and may have another long return. Gets past 3 Huskies, and he's going all the way. No flags. Touchdown, Oregon State. Wait a minute. They say he stepped out of bounds at the 37-yard line of Washington. Dwayne Owens with a 97-yard punt return for TD against UCLA last week.
The fact that he steps out of bounds at the 37 will be of little solace to the Husky coaching staff. You know, this coverage team will get a tongue lashing anyway. You get a look at both the size, the speed, and the niftiness of Dwayne Owens. There's some speedsters that are trying to chase him down. Russell Hairston, Dante Robinson at this point picks up the chase. Nobody can catch him. Thank goodness it's only a 53.5-yard width of this field.
He's only 5'10", but he's 200 pounds, and he got all 200 pounds going to the due east towards Lake Washington on that occasion. Here's the pitch, going to the outside, down inside the 30, as Berry gets inside the 25-yard line to the 24. As Berry carries, the sophomore out of Portland and Jesuit High School. So far in possessions for the Beavers, nothing on the board yet. They had a field goal attempt, but was missed badly to the right and short by Burke.
Obviously that kickoff return starts Oregon State at their best field position of the day. So easy with the 24-0 lead if you're a Husky defense to come out and kind of cruise. Oregon State will wake you up right away.
1st and 10 from the 23. And Young carrying.
Young with the ball.
The sophomore out of Roseburg, Oregon, down in the southern part of the state, came in with 180 yards, almost 4 yards per carry, but no touchdowns yet, with a long run of 12 yards against Kansas in the season opener down in Corvallis. 2nd down and 5 after the 5-yard carry. Ball's on the 19 of Washington. Heavy hit by Jaime Fields, but Olford, equally stocky, is able to get away from him and get at least back to the line of scrimmage. No gain.
Well, Mark Olford a year ago was about 155 pounds when he came to Oregon State. He worked in the offseason, took himself up between 20 and 25 pounds, and he is a chunk now. He's extremely strong. He's 5'7", 5'8", and weighs 185 now, so he is a tough load to bring down.
Jaime couldn't find a handle. Grab it.
A bowling ball.
3rd down and 5. 2 receivers wide to the right side. Whether they will use them or not, we don't know. Here comes the crowd noise as they see Olford check off. How do you check off with this offense? Still has it. Do they call it a fumble? No. Referee saying it was down on the play by Jaime Fields. Olford the ball carrier and was on the turf before the pigskin popped loose.
That actually looked like the triple option with the ball given to the wrong man. If we see this again, you'll note the fullback, John Young, streaks through the middle. Looks like he has 5 or 6 yards. This is the triple. You can see 44 basically has the 1st down. Ooh, I'm not sure that wasn't a fumble right there.
Steve, now what would he be checking off in that case?
My guess is that he's simply checking off which side of the formation that should go to. Washington's been jumping back and forth.
38-yard attempt. And Burke has it.
Hopefully that will change Jamie Burke's mental thoughts for a while. He's been fairly accurate between 30 and 39. It's the shorter one that he can't hit.
Sometimes you get in that funk. Those short ones, you try to jam it through instead of just floating it through, and you get a longer kick. Sometimes it's a little bit easier because all you're trying to do is get a good solid kick.
And credit those 3 points to Dwayne Owens, who got them into Husky territory on the kickoff return.
Well, you know, you mentioned that how hard you kick that ball. Jamie Burke kicks the ball hard, and we noticed earlier when Travis Hansen hit the ball, he barely got it. It looked like he was just floating it, but it was dead solid down the middle. I think sometimes Jamie overkicks the ball. He's going to thump it, like you say, as you mentioned in golf. I'm going to hit this one straight. I'm going to hit it hard. I'm not coming off it even if I'm missing it. I'm not sure it isn't working to his detriment sometimes.
Sounds like my golf game. I'm not coming off him. I don't care. I putt like I drive.
And Don Owens, I'm all right. Dwayne Owens, Jim Owens, and Don James. Put them all together, you got Don Owens. Don James awaiting to see what happens in Los Angeles today with Arizona visiting USC. And all of you, as you watch this, of course, know the outcome. But conceivably, the Huskies could win a trip to Pasadena if the right things happen today.
And because everybody knows, please forgive us our constant speculation.
Here again is the 38-yard field goal.
38-yarder only has to go 39. This one carries well beyond the goalpost, right down the pipe. Oregon State's on the board, 24-3. Field position set up again by the kickoff return.
And Jay Barry going back for it. They were expecting maybe a pooch kick or possibly an onside as the ball goes up to the 12-yard line where Barry has it.
Oregon State lines up while their kickoff team in kind of a bunch formation. Potential onside. Washington responds to it by keeping its up front people in close in front of the ball, and the deep people line up on the 20-25-yard line. Usually Oregon State then will spread out into a regular kickoff formation and kick it deep. Huskies respond by dropping their kickoff return people back to the goal line. That time Oregon State kicked it out of the bunch formation. Jay Barry didn't have a chance to retreat from the 20 until the ball had been kicked.
So 1st and 10 for the Huskies. Brunell at quarterback, and Kaufman starts the second half at the tailback slot. Out beyond the 15. Flag going down after the play, and Frank Garcia in the Oregon State secondary talking it over with some Beavers, and that's when the flags flew.
So often happens in a game where one team is well ahead of the other. You have a difference in intensity levels.
Well, it clearly happened after the play. You're right.
Sometimes some chippiness comes out.
Personal foul, offense, 2nd down. The penalty will be enforced half the distance from the end of the run.
And again, Frank Garcia involved somehow with the altercation.
Ball, personal foul, penalty against the Huskies. Move the ball.
Well, I'm impressed with Mark Brunell today.
Well, he's played this way for about 2.5 years.
Took 6 months off in the middle, but has been a very good leader, very big part of the success of this Husky program, even when he was not the starting quarterback during the national championship year.
2nd down and 15, and they go with the sprint out. Damon Mack good for the 1st down if they call it good, and they do. The reception.
One nice thing there is Mark Brunell throws the ball on rhythm. He gets out, and once he gets the corner turned, he gets his shoulders upfield and delivers it, either by defensive play or by Mark just holding it too long. We've seen a lot of times today where Mark has rolled out and held the ball an awful long time.
You two have played in the NFL. Does he look like an NFL quarterback? Arm strength in terms of arm strength?
I sure think he does. I think in the way he throws the touch passes more so than the arm strength right now.
Matt Jones not much doing this time.
I also believe what you mentioned early on, his ability to scramble and make something happen. It's a whole new dimension that so many of the pro teams are looking for right now. In the old days, there were the Staubucks and the Tarkendens. Now there's the Steve Young, and this kid fits right in the same category.
Corey Hewitt on the last play defensively for Oregon State against Matt Jones. So it is 2nd down and 10, no gain on the play. Shelley comes wide to the left. Hewitt on the last play. Barry to the right side. Again, the delay, or rather the play action. Looking, running, and running up to the 31. And a flag coming down on the sidelines. I'm not sure if they're going to call a late hit on Petrini or not.
I think that'll be a face mask.
Face, okay.
Take a look at this. I think Petrini gets his hand up there, or Dennis Edwards, and gets him on the face. You can see right there. Unintentional or intentional, we'll find out.
Strong safety, a backup strong safety, Dennis Edwards. So 5 yards unintentional.
Edwards, another interesting story. Came to Oregon State, started as a free safety his freshman year, a strong safety his sophomore year, and is now just back from a broken bone in his foot, and was starting at the strong linebacker, actually alternating at the strong linebacker position at the start of the year.
1st and 10 for Washington now on their own 37-yard line. Brunell lays it off to his fullback Jones, down to the 40. The 30 stepped out of bounds. Clear back on the 27-yard line. Kind of lost track of where he was heading, I guess.
I guess football fields like railroad tracks. When you look down them, they get closer. The ends get closer and closer together. But this is an example, Steve, of what you were talking about big gains given up in the passing game despite pretty good coverage downfield. You give Mark Brunell that much time, and he's going to find a receiver. This time it's Matt Jones, and Matt, trying to create as much space as he can between himself and the defender, ends up out of bounds at the 27.
A 36-yard gain. He was able to run away from the middle linebacker, Rico Petrini, and that's how he got open. Kaufman. We'll get an update on his yardage, too, as he tries to become the first sophomore in Husky history to hit 1,000 yards. If all goes to plan, there he is at 103. Needs to get to 149 today. Can you imagine if all goes according to plan and Bean O'Brien gets a redshirt year and comes back next season? You have Richard Thomas as a fullback, you have Matt Jones as a fullback, and then you have those two, Bean O'Brien and Napoleon Kaufman, as your tailbacks. Second down and 7. Look out, Darius Turner, one man to beat, and he gets around him. Touchdown, Darius Turner, the senior, getting a TD in his last appearance at Husky Stadium. 24 yards.
Big part of this Husky program over his 4 years here in purple and gold. Coming back off of a last year's back injury, this year an injury to his leg.
That's his first TD reception this year, too. And the kick is good by Travis Hansen, and the Huskies go up 31-3 on the reception to Darius Turner, who had to overcome that sore ankle that he injured down in Oregon. We'll be back. Leading Oregon State 31-3 with 9:55 remaining in the third quarter. Darius Turner with his first touchdown reception of the year and an appropriate time in his last appearance at Husky Stadium. He's a senior. Owens from the 17. He's been a busy guy. The scoring drive for the Washington Huskies, their first here in the third quarter, was capped by this reception by Turner. Was able to get away from Herschel Curry to score this TD, and the drive itself was a good one.
How are plays called this year with the University of Washington? Yeah, Keith Gilbertson's gone.
Jeff Woodruff.
Jeff Woodruff.
He's the offensive coordinator. As you see the drive itself, 2 minutes and 16 seconds, 87 yards. But several of the coaches have input, we're told, and then Jeff with the ultimate decision over the headset down to the sideline. First and 10 from the 31-yard line for the Oregon State Beavers. Olford, no place to go and no man to pitch. 2.
Don, no pitch man available on that side.
Well, that was the second audible caused. He tried to get it out to people, could not do it, resulting in the halfbacks a little bit farther away, not hearing the change. Tough time.
Jaime Fields with the tackle. Last week, Jaime had 7 tackles, 6 unassisted, half a sack and a tackle for loss, and 2 pass deflections against the Wildcats. Quite an effort. Second down and 10. Still on the 31. They give it to Young. This time Julius Young, number 9.
Julius Young, the ball carrier.
Straight off tackle, second back through, and again something that Oregon State has used throughout the season to stop people from just running out towards the option. They have to use that. The Beavers also have to come back with a counter and a fullback trap.
The one win for Jerry Pettibone this year over Fresno State, 46-36. Julius Young now 43 yards on just 4 carries. Third down and 6. They need to get up to the 41-yard line. Young with it, brought down by Jamal Fontaine. Wait a minute, what are they saying? They're saying he went down
We have officials spotting the ball in two separate places.
Talk about confusing this announcer. They finally settle it down at the outside the 44-yard line.
Both spots were short of the first down.
It'll be 4th down. And obviously Oregon State's going to try. Coming in, they were 8 of 11 on 4th down conversions. So they feel they've got the numbers on their side. They need to cross the 40 to the 41. Paulson looks like he has it. The second effort after the initial hit may have gotten them the first down.
The Beavers have actually been 100% on anything that was short yardage on 4th down. They've tried three times at 8 to 10 yards in a behind situation. Great effort here by Chad Paulson. He's stopped by fine effort by Clifford. Still makes it.
Tommy Smith, one of the first Huskies in on the stop against Paulson. Paulson, a junior out of Bend, Oregon. Another native. 1st and 10 as Paulson goes in motion, gives him the extra option, but not this time. Tommy Smith gets him clear back on the 34-yard line. He was waiting for Paulson to get the ball.
Tommy Smith can close this a little bit quicker. He gets his hands on his second pitch of the day. You see, once again, penetration is the bane of the option. James Clifford is in Alford's face before he can even get to the corner. Tommy Smith is 8 yards deep in the backfield.
Alford may not have been able to see Tommy Smith because of Clifford in front of him.
And another thing, Mark was off the line of scrimmage by 4 or 5 yards in that case. It really hurts him. Then he can't cut up the field. He had a wide hole in front of him, but way too deep to take advantage of it.
You've got to gain 4 yards before you're even back to the line of scrimmage.
Absolutely.
Tommy with a couple of interceptions this year. It's 2nd and 17 and nothing doing. As they go to the right side, James Clifford, Tommy Smith, Dave Hoffman on top of Julius Young. Paulson has carried 5 times, but for only 3 yards. He came in averaging over 5 yards per carry.
And Oregon State's most consistent performer in the offensive backfield the last 2 years. Play in, play out, blocking, carrying, always gets what he's supposed to get, or what's there, let's put it that way.
He had 149 yards against Oregon in the Beavers' only victory last year. 3rd down and 15. This time the show and pass. Holford throws and knocked down by Dave Hoffman of the Huskies. The intended receiver was number 81, Kevin Strasser, one of the backup split ends, and a senior. Got an Oregon State Beaver playing up here in Seattle is Mr. Thomas, the wide receiver, playing for the Seahawks. Was brought in after being let go by Kansas City. Rob Thomas.
Actually, there are 3 Oregon Staters.
Well, yeah, that's true. Up in the line too.
Yep, Ron Heller and Darren Thrills.
That's right.
I'm not going to draw any correlation to the fact that there's 3 Beavers on the team and the fact that they've only won 1 game.
What did I say?
I'm going to stay away from that one.
Colas with another low but driving punt and simply blows it past Napoleon Kaufman and out of bounds. And it goes out at the 22-yard line. Back in a moment. First and 10 for the Washington Huskies from the 22-yard line. I formation, little option, and they pitch it to Jay Berry. And 3 Beavers close in for no gain. Good pursuit by Pfizer. Number 40, one of the first to get there.
Ricky Pfizer on the stop.
One of the advantages of the Oregon State wishbone offense is it uses up a lot of time. Ball possession, time possession is on the average in their favor. One of the disadvantages of running the wishbone is ball possession, time of possession. If you get behind, it's hard to come back when it's taken you 6 or 7 minutes to score on each drive.
1 yard gain, 2nd down and 9 with 2 receivers to the right. Doesn't matter. Kaufman cuts it back up. Now it's a foot race. One defender goes down and brought out of bounds. Let's see where they mark it. At the 32-yard line of Oregon State. That may put Kaufman over the edge. He needed to 149 coming in. He had 103 a moment ago.
Add up
46-yard gain, and it sounds like he's the first guy ever to be at the 1,000 mark as a sophomore in the purple and gold.
Add up 103 and 46, and you get 149. Napoleon Kaufman gets 46 on that one. Big play both for Napoleon Kaufman and for the Husky offense.
1st and 10 from the 32. Play action, looking deep to Theron Hill, the pure freshman. Good, down to the 3-yard line of Oregon State. The Bino Bryant of the freshman class of '92 almost gets his first touchdown.
That was just a wonderful post corner pattern. Nice job by the quarterback, but this is right on the money and after a perfect pattern by the receiver.
Take the defender inside, then take it back outside. That ball often thrown before the receiver makes his break back outside, deliver it right on the boundary, so it's either a completion or an incompletion.
And he beat the senior Davis to get that reception. 29-yard play. 1st and goal from the 3. Brunell got it. Touchdown, Washington. Outmaneuvered Reggie Tongue for the TD. That's his 2nd touchdown today. That's 5 for the year. As the Huskies continue to widen that lead. Haven't. Travis Hansen now back to kick.
Hansen will kick on the hole of Eric Bjornsson.
And it is good. So there is 4:49 remaining here in the 3rd quarter. And the Huskies move it up to 38-3 over their brothers from Corvallis.
The brothers.
Cousins.
Boy, after the insults the last series, now I get brothers out of this.
Hey, cousins. What can I say? Try to be hospitable, you know, Chuck, and look what we get.
Invite the guy up here, you know. We got him a little chicken pot pie before the game, some hot dogs and sandwiches at halftime.
Incidentally, Mr. Brunell and the rest of the seniors on this Husky team will be introduced at the end of this ball game, and one at a time they will run off the field into the tunnel. A tradition started last year by Coach Don James and Athletic Director Barbara Hedges, and it's a wonderful idea.
A lot of Husky fans staying around. This is one reason why they stick around after the game, is because you get to see action like this during the game.
That was Herschel Curry who he outmaneuvered rather than Reggie Tongue, the left cornerback. And Brunell gets touchdown number 5 on the ground after going 77 yards and eating up 1 minute and 6 seconds.
The big play has hurt the Oregon State Beavers so much this year. Again, one big run by Napoleon Kaufman kind of takes the wind out of the sails.
Owens from the 15. Gets some blocking in the middle and then is spun down by Leif Johnson and Richie Chambers, number 32. Leif Johnson, Mr. Special Teams for this Husky team.
A very versatile player, back up at both fullback and tailback. Great special teams coverage man. This time Owens tries to get back to the wedge to the middle of the field. Running sideways, Leif Johnson is going to get you.
By the way, Mark Brunell, for the 2nd time in 2 weeks, he's gone over 200 yards passing, and those are the only 2 times in his career that he's done so.
Previous high for the year had been 161. Now 2 consecutive weeks, close to 500 in only 2 games.
Holford back at quarterback for Oregon State. 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. And they give to Willis up the middle. Mark Brunell, who has been such a settling factor, just a good solid leader and a very, very talented young man. One of the nicest young men I've ever visited with. I got to visit with him during one of the was at a fundraiser for Boys Club, and he was having dinner there, and got to talk to him about a year ago. Just a tremendous young man. Wants to coach. If the pros beckon, I'm sure he'll try for that first. Pitch to the left side, and they go to Cameron Reynolds, where he's racked out of bounds. Tommy Smith and the Purple Crew in there to make the stop. Coming up on the 4-minute mark here in the 3rd quarter.
These negative yardage plays that Oregon State's finding themselves with the last 3 or 4 series. They'll run 4 or 5 good plays, and then do something that loses 6 yards, as we said before. You just can't gain it back in this offense.
2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Absolutely.
Tell the Big 8 that. 3rd down and 10. As they bring the wide receiver to the right side. They need 10. And they want to throw. Lewis Jones can't get to Olfert. Now he tries to do a little improvising and is able to gain 3. After he is brought down by Andy Mason.
It's a difficult offense to try to run a passing game out of. They have 1 receiver out there. It's either got to be a wide open broken play like Oregon State's had this year. In fact, 7 times I believe Oregon State's had a receiver more than 10 yards open deep and missed him for touchdowns.
But if you're going to run successful passing game out of that offense, you've got to do it on 1st and 2nd down, not on 3rd and 15.
You're absolutely correct.
Colas back to punt with 2 people back to chase the punt down instead of Kaufman. It goes off the side of his foot, but a Beaver bounce as Shelley and Jay Berry were back to receive the punt. Double receivers as opposed to Napoleon Kaufman by himself. A little better coverage just in case they want to try some trickery, right?
Line up 9 guys on the line of scrimmage. Make Oregon State think that perhaps you're not going to bring people, then you rush.
Excuse me, Chuck, but Damon Huard just came into the game with the 2nd unit offensively. So they are seeing the future, and they have welcomed the young man from Puyallup as they see maybe the heir apparent to the starting quarterback job in 1993.
Damon Huard obviously moved up to the number 2 quarterback position with the departure of Billy Joe Hobart, the apparent permanent departure of Billy Joe Hobart.
Jay Berry carried on that last play. So Damon coming into this contest, yes, just a redshirt freshman, has passed the ball only a couple of times, 2 for 2. Has yet to rush the ball with the ball.
Hopefully we'll get to see number 7 for Oregon State before the day's over, and we'll talk about him when Oregon State gets the ball back again.
2nd down and 6 for Huard and the Huskies. Here's the rollout. He'll try his 3rd pass as a Husky, and it's complete. Good for the 1st down at the 30. Check it, the 44-yard line to Jason Shelley, who will be his receiver next year more than likely.
There are some quarterbacks, some people, when they throw the ball, that the ball is just easier to catch. It gets there just as fast, but once it gets there, it just seems to be a little bit softer. Husky fans remember Tom Fleck, something he was very good at, had a very tight spiral, yet it didn't seem to be spinning all that fast and tough to catch when it got there.
Shelley with 2 receptions for 56 yards. You recall he had 6 receptions for 76 yards against the Wildcats last week. Here's Jay Berry on the toss sweep. Boy, had a nice seam and got down to the 36-yard line. Rico Petrini, number 49, one of the first ones there. Jay having a fairly productive day on the ground after he picks up 8 on that play. Reggie Tongue, the initial hitter.
Talking about the way the quarterback delivers the ball, you'll always see that soft pass coming in with a spiral with the nose of the ball up in the air. It's tough to throw.
You're looking at Patrick Kessie, 6'3", 305, and he is huge. He looks like a big 305 when you meet him. 2nd down and 2. Huard got to hurry. Wide open. Shelley is able to avoid the big hit, and he is brought down inside the 30 for another Husky 1st down. Reggie Tongue and company on the play.
Talked about Damon Huard, Jason Shelley, Theron Hill as the future of the skill positions for the Huskies. Pat Casey, part of the future in the offensive line. You're also seeing a lot of backups in there. Pete Caligas back, seeing his first action after quite some time. Also David Ilsley, his senior, getting a chance for some action in his last home game.
At 1st and 10, they go to Darius Turner, who cracks it into the secondary, but he's met by Kane Rogers, the freshman out of Tacoma, and Washington High School, which is right off campus from Pacific Lutheran University. I'll have to give Frosty Westering, the coach down there, a bad time that he let one get away.
Well, Oregon State has recruited so many kids the last 2 years as option quarterbacks. They can go to Oregon State and try the option, or they can go someplace else and be linebackers or defensive backs. And surprise, they end up at linebacker and defensive back.
He's at 6'1", 217. He looks bigger than that. Big arms. Second down and 6. Little delay to Berry, and it is sniffed out quite well by Eric Hale, number 57, who started at left defensive end. Sophomore out of Simi Valley. Tell me one other great athlete in the sport of basketball that comes from Simi Valley. Who comes from Simi Valley?
I'll tell you one other great Husky.
Now you're avoiding the question. Come on.
I don't know the answer. You can't fool me.
Don McLean, the forward for UCLA Bruins, who is now in the NBA.
Name the former Husky fullback and tight end from Simi Valley.
Former Husky and tight end Joe
Willie
Steele.
Roseborough.
Oh, well, that was close.
Or as my father used to call him, Willie Rose Bowl.
Third down and 7 for Huard, and we've got a end of the quarter. So wrapped up with watching Mr. Huard, we thought something happened. All right, that is it. One more quarter left in the 92 season here in Husky Stadium, and we'll watch it together right after this. We are about to begin the fourth quarter. I'm Don Poyer along with Chuck Nelson and Steve Priest. Washington leading the Oregon State Beavers 38-3. For the Beavers, it is third down and 7. Check that, the Huskies. From the 37, ball knocked loose, and Oregon State will come up with it at the 45. Maybe not. Let's wait and see. Did a Husky get it, Chuck?
First shot obviously went to an Oregon State player. Second shot went to Washington and Ricky Fizer.
And the referee just went to the right, then back to the left. So I guess it is Oregon State ball.
Third time's a charm as Ricky Fizer comes up with a fumble. Damon Huard trying to buy a little bit of extra time. If you're going to do that, you got to tuck it someplace where those big guys aren't going to get a shot at it.
Now I want to hear you talk about who got the pressure and the hit.
It was Eli Kalanuvola.
Big guys. You say the big guys. I wasn't gonna chance it.
He's the fine young man out of Franklin High School in Seattle. I'll tell you that.
A few weeks ago, we had Eli Kalanuvola and Sai Pulavati lying up against Mu Tagoye and George Malaulu and a couple of other guys.
So it's first and 10 for Oregon State on the good move by Eli. He's playing at home for the first time in a while. Willis, good for the first down as they go with the up man or the fullback. And Willis into Husky territory and the first down.
Triple option. The quarterback just reads the tackle. You could see the number 88 from Washington going straight ahead, so open fullback.
Mike Iwaliko. There he is.
Okay.
Getting a chance to make a big play.
Came to Oregon State as an offensive tackle this year as a junior college transfer and immediately went to the defensive side of the ball because of Oregon State losing last year a freshman starter to an injury.
Kalanuvolu.
That's close
Just
enough.
want to make sure that his mom and dad or any relatives are watching. I did practice that name all week. First and 10 now on the 45. The one wide receiver to the near side. Penetration by Clifford, and he brings him down from behind. Wasn't it? Yes, it was James Clifford.
A great effort by the senior James Clifford. Comes in, takes on the block, spins off of it, backhands the quarterback. You can see closes from his linebacker position, brushes off Willis, the fullback, backhands, I believe, Ian Shields in a quarterback.
Right.
Well, you can see what penetration does to this offense.
Well, we talked about relationships earlier, and when you penetrate, you force that quarterback to alter his path, make his decisions more quickly than he wants to, so nobody knows where the quarterback is or when he's going to pitch it.
Second down and 13 after loss of 3. Willis. Down to the 40-yard line. He has as much acceleration as anybody I've seen.
Curtis was the starting fullback at the beginning of the year, actually been third on the depth chart. J.D. Stewart did not, I don't know whether he even suited down today. He's the starter now. He hurt himself a week ago. He's got great acceleration too, but Oregon State uses 2, 3, sometimes even 4 people at that position.
Still with 150 yards today. Third down and 6. Shields at quarterback. Might have been some movement on the line. I don't see a flash. We do have a flag go down, and in fact, before the play starts.
The fullback dive has been very effective, racking up big yards. Steve Hoffman and Mike Iveliko inside.
There was no play. Dead ball. False start. Offense. Repeat third down.
James Owens. Or check that. Willis unable to bust it big.
Now in a 3rd and 10 situation, Oregon State typically is left with running the triple option. Most teams have been lining up, playing it hard outside, and letting the fullback run.
12:49 remaining. 3rd down and 11. Only 1 on the Huskies today. Willis, and a whole lot of purple jerseys around him.
This time the Huskies line up hard on the outside and don't let the fullback run.
That is absolutely
Steve Hoffman and Mike Iveliko inside do the job on 3rd down, get the defense off the field.
Iweliko getting some extended playing time today, has no stats coming into the contest, was listed as a possible backup to Steve Hoffman, either he or the senior Mike Lustig. So Colas was back in to punt. Shelley is back on the 10-yard line. How about a fake? Feel a fake coming on here, guys? Nope. How about a roughing the kicker? Yeah, Andy Mason and Jamal Fontaine were the 2 back there on Colas. So this will be an automatic 1st down.
Huskies trying to get aggressive and make big plays.
15 yards and an automatic 1st. So Oregon State will keep this drive going.
Even when you're trying to make big plays, you've got to play smart.
That's the 2nd penalty on Washington today.
Maybe Andy Mason just wanted to play a little bit more. He wasn't ready to go sit down. He says, I got to find a way to get at least 3 more plays out of this series.
He found him quick, huh?
So the ball is put at the 30-yard line. No huddle by Oregon State. Just under 12 minutes to go. 1st and 10 from the 30. Little crossbuck action that time as Dwayne Owens gets down to the 25-yard line.
We see this again. Take a look at the talent that Owens has to stay up off the ground. He's nifty movements, got great arm strength. He'll put his hand on the ground and push himself off the ground or keep him off the ground with people on his back many times. Listed at 200, I'll bet he's closer to 215.
Yeah, he looks much bigger than that, even though he's got the white pants and the white jersey. 2nd down and 5. Clifford on the tackle. Ball on the 25. Only receiver is to the bottom of the screen. Tommy Smith tries to stir things up. There's the pitch. Now they got the angle. Shane Palcoa gives chase to the ball carrier, Cameron Reynolds, as Palcoa is able to get him out of bounds, but not until they get another 1st down. Reynolds, the freshman out of Lake Oswego.
Tommy Smith's success in getting in the path of this pitch previously cost him on this play. He tries to make the big play again. Very smart play by Ian Shields. Also a nice play by Cameron Reynolds to maintain that relationship and stay in pitch position.
A true freshman.
1st and 10 from the 12-yard line. Owens again. 2nd time they've called that play, and he fumble. Let's see, they didn't call it down as the ball trickled inside the 5-yard line. And they're saying Oregon State ball.
There's a lineman downfield making a play. We talked in our open about Jaime Fields' ability to lay a lick. Owens makes a nice move to stay away. Jaime Fields right there from the backside along with Tommy Smith tears it out. Reggie Reacher has the first shot at it, but ball looks like it ends up underneath the tight end, Ray Penniman.
They gain an extra 3 yards on the fumble.
Anything we can get.
2nd and 2. They can get a 1st down. Jaime Fields on top of Shields.
Fields on Shields.
Jaime coming into this game with that 7 total tackle performance against Arizona. Nice penetration here.
You see, he closes so quickly Fields doesn't have a chance to make the decision and get the pitch off. Curtis Willis, the fullback, runs right past him.
Fields with 6 tackles today. And is a senior. They're going to miss him as much as anybody. 3rd down and 5 on the loss. Willis short of the goal line, but I believe he has the first down for the Beavers.
Great job up front by those inside guys. Jason Downs, Johnny Fenga, and Fletcher Keister doing a great job inside, getting that fullback free.
Tommy Smith on the bottom. Dave Hoffman in there getting a lick.
I'm really surprised Oregon State's running anything but the triple. Seems like they run the double option and they put themselves in a negative yardage position. Takes themselves right out of the fullback game.
Willis has played very well today as your fullback.
He sure has.
1st and goal from the 2. Here comes the crowd. Wide receiver to the right. And that's a touchdown. He broke the plane. He paid for it, but Willis got the TD. Oh, what a hit.
That was a great hit. Ouch.
He's not sure if he scored on Washington or Washington State right now, but he got it and he knows it.
He broke the plane, and then Dave Hoffman broke his spirit. At least broke him. See the smile on his face.
What a couple of linebackers, Washington.
And they're both gone after this year.
Somehow I figure you'll find a way to replace those guys.
Brooks extra point, no good.
There's the hard left we were talking about earlier.
Oof.
And again, as you said, Steve, problem with the closer he gets, the harder he hits it, and the more it goes left.
Well, you could see where he drilled that ball. He is just pounding it.
There's the hit, but not until they got 6. As the Huskies are up 38-9. Catch college football action after the touchdown by Oregon State. And the kickoff, Jay Berry getting it out to the 30-yard line. And you could hear Lou Gellerman, the PA announcer, saying a 20-yard return for the senior. Late arriving crowd earlier today. A lot of homecoming festivities. Arizona still trailing in their game with SC, as Damon Ewart now brings the Huskies up to the line of scrimmage. 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line with a wide receiver, a single one to the right side. Turner in the backfield with Leif Johnson as the tailback. Slips a tackle, but Rico Petrini is able to stop him, the middle linebacker, for short gain. Oregon State's drive was capped by this play as Willis scores, takes the hit by Dave Hoffman, and this all coming after the roughing the kicker penalty on Washington. So the drive goes 55 yards and they eat up 5.5 minutes. Very characteristic of an Oregon State drive and what they'd like.
That's what they're looking for. Lots of possession, lots of plays.
They came into this game with about a 32-minute advantage over their opponents in possession for the year. Ewart wants to air it out, and he's got the run. Hill on the 30. Goodbye. The first touchdown pass by Damon Ewart and the first touchdown reception for Mr. Hill. It's all beginning today. 68-yard connection.
See, the first hug that he gets is from Jason Shelley, his fellow freshman. Whoa, what a future they may have as wide receivers.
Well, they've been saying all along that Damon Ewart has an outstanding, accurate, strong arm, and we're getting our first look in a game situation today as Hansen boots the point after. So Washington now up to that 45-9 lead. And I don't think the Huskies mind, with nothing personal against Oregon State, to run up a score a little bit after they see all the upsets that are taking place today with ranked teams.
Well, I don't think it's so much a chance to move up in the rankings as it is to give this team a little bit of confidence. You see David Heward right here. Theron Hill beats that double team right there, just flat out runs away from it. A lot of air under the ball. Theron Hill catches it full stride.
Last year's longest pass was a 71-yarder from Billy Joe Hobert to Mario Bailey. Remember that against Kansas State down the middle? This one's 68 yards, and he's got his first TD pass. Almost set a record.
But we talked about the nice soft ball that he throws. Of all the quarterbacks at Washington here, counting Billy Joe Hobert, Mark Brunell, over this past offseason, when Mario Bailey was going to work out for professional scouts, he would have David Heward come out and throw to him just because he threw such a nice catchable ball. Mario Bailey says, I want to look as good as I can. I want a guy that's going to throw a nice tight spiral.
Interesting. Interesting observation. Yeah, we're seeing a bit of the future right here. Damon Heward, Jason Shelley, Theron Hill, Richard Thomas, Patrick Kessie, the big 300-pound guard we saw. And if we got Jason Crabb coming in to kick, we do indeed.
Once again, the Huskies are not trying to run up the score on anybody in order to make it look good in the paper on the East Coast on Sunday morning, but this is a team that hasn't had a whole lot of good things happen to it over the last 2 weeks since the Stanford game. They want to come out and feel good about themselves heading over to Pullman.
Well, and I think it's just classic bad timing for Oregon State, having to come in and face this team after what you say, everything that happened. Here's Dwayne Owens.
I'd also point out to those Oregon Staters that this is not a starting team that's coming back in and beating up on the Beavers right now.
Good point.
Don James is not that kind of coach.
No, he strongly feels that you don't do that for the sake of rankings, and so does Dennis Erickson for that matter. They both have made it clear that they will not run it up for the sake of any national rankings.
Well, I know I saw Gino Torretta in there with 5 minutes to go throwing out and up routes.
Yeah.
With a 21-point lead over West Virginia last week, and then Coach Erickson comes out and complains about, oh, what are we supposed to try to run it up now? We didn't do that.
We've got second units in there now on defense for the Huskies, as Shields hands off for a short gain, as Reynolds again carried, the pure freshman that Steve alluded to earlier out of Oswego.
5 true freshmen on Oregon State's squad this year.
Well, you got 71% of this team is either freshmen or sophomores.
Oh, and they returned 19 out of the first 22 on defense, and 17 on offense, and both kickers.
Ian Shield is just a sophomore, and he has second down and 9. There's the pitch to Barry. Hillary Butler falls down. He has the first down up to near midfield, as Hillary Butler, the linebacker, number 45, and Lamar Lyons knocks him out of bounds, but Butler goes down, and that allowed Jason Berry to get around the corner.
Just a great block on the outside by the running back. I don't know whether that was Chad Paulson or if he'd been substituted, but he took the cornerback's legs out from under him, but the safety left it wide open.
Yeah.
See Jason Shelley and Theron Hill explaining the future of Husky football to University President Bill Gerberding. This is what it's going to be like the next 4 years here, Prez.
Pass incomplete. As they were going to number 86, Chris Cross. And there's your brain trust and your air connections for the next 4 years. Next 3 years at least.
What do you call that haircut?
Nothing.
Nothing. That's right.
Clean. That's what you call that haircut.
Gillette loves that kind of haircut. Second down and 10 for Oregon State. Down to 7:20 remaining in the game. And a lot of folks will probably stick around because, as we said, they'll announce and introduce all the seniors for this Husky team and let them run off the field one at a time. It was a very touching moment last year because Washington had secured the trip to the Rose Bowl, came in, took on Washington State, and then each senior was handed a single rose as they ran off the field. It was a pretty powerful experience.
Touching.
Third down and 7.
Maybe the Beavers will be handed a rose as we leave the field today. And
they pitch it. As Reynolds gets the first down and down to the 30-yard line. Lots of backup people in there.
Cameron Reynolds is an interesting story. Coming out of high school, he did not have great speed times in the 40. And the coaches claim that the reason is because he never runs in a straight line. He's always got a shoulder dip or a leg going somewhere. He just never puts it down and runs.
You put that out on a football field and it translates into a move. The defensive backs, it's a lot tougher when the guy's never running in a straight line. I think you want guys that don't run in straight lines.
Lamar Lyons got him out of bounds.
That was quite a move.
Reynolds again. Nice move, yes.
Steve Springstead took the bait on that one.
Donovan Schmidt also.
He was one young man that Oregon State was going to play from the get-go this fall. He came in as a true freshman. They had no idea that he would be able to pack into an already talented halfback position, but he's been there since day one.
Second down and 2 as we come down to the 6-minute mark. Washington leading 45-9. Ian Shields at quarterback. Pitch, and Reynolds is almost brought down. He was slowed up by Scott Greenlaw, number 12, the right corner. Greenlaw behind, normally on the depth chart, behind Reggie Reeser and Walter Bailey. Today he's on the second unit with the suspension of Bailey for 1 game for missing class. Ateka Huckabee, the other player who was suspended.
Scotty Greenlaw reminds me of Scotty Greenwood. We want to pass along our thoughts and best wishes to the family of Scott Greenwood, the great tight end and Husky captain in 1978, who passed away this past week after a long battle with cancer.
Third down and 5. Shields keeps, and Steve Springstead brings him down inside the 20, but not until he gets the first down. So the second unit getting a handful right now, trying to slow this Oregon State offense down. Be sure to catch college football action as the Arizona Wildcats take on the USC Trojans Wednesday, November 18th. That's at 8:30 here on Prime Sports Northwest. 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. Don Poyer, Chuck Nelson, and Steve Priest for the final final home game here at Husky Stadium in 1992. That'll give them 13 straight home victories, going over 2 straight years. In 1990 they lost their last home game, that one against UCLA. They haven't lost at home since. First and 10 from the 19-yard line, and they give to Young, the fullback, John Young, for a short gain. Springstead, one of the first in there, number 49. As the clock continues to go. You have fast games when you've got the leading rushing team in the Pac-10 on here. Not many incomplete passes.
Nope. And actually the number 2 rushing team in the Pac-10, I believe, and the Dogs. But there's a little more balance. That 43 yards a game the Beavers are putting on the board isn't going to rank them very high.
235 yards rushing for Oregon State so far, only 9 yards passing. Washington contrast, 294 passing, 218 rushing.
Second down and 7. Good penetration by Greenlaw. The pitch around to the outside as Paulson, he is short of the first down. He's to the 10-yard line, needed to get to the 9. Give him 6 yards.
Nice job by Jason Berry, the running back for Oregon State. The lead blocker got into Hillary Butler. Hillary unable to get off of the block in time. He was in position to make a play, but Jason Berry stayed into him.
That was the talk around the conference early in the year, is how tough it was to defend against the chop block by Oregon State's players. 3rd and 1. And Young gets that and much more down to the 5-yard line. Give him 4 yards. So it'll be 1st and goal for the Beavers with 4 minutes left in the game. Scott Greenlaw out of Issaquah, originally a walk-on, I believe.
Given a scholarship after a couple of games this year, it worked his way into the depth and has been a very good special teams player.
Now he's kind of picked it up with Leif Johnson, hasn't he? Those two have been involved in a lot of tackles.
Got to make your mark where you can. If you're getting a chance to cover kickoffs, you might as well knock people down.
1st and goal from the 6. Shields getting a little depth. Now he's brought down. Tough pitch. Loose ball. Oregon State has it. But it goes back to the incomplete pass because it was a forward pitch. All right, to Barry.
Well, you guys are quick. I don't think I've been by guys this fast.
Right.
Great play by Hillary Butler, closing the gap. Russell Hairston gets a case of big eyes with that ball on the ground there.
And you've got to be very aware of those angle of pitches, don't you? Not only as a quarterback, but as an announcer.
The ball's in the air 65 times a game, either through passes or pitches.
It's tough to keep that relationship. Those halfbacks, I gotta admire them sometimes. The quarterback will be forced off. They'll be up in front of him. Whoa.
2nd down and 6. 2nd and goal from the 6. Same play. Barry can't quite get in there. He's down to the 1-yard line, and Shields is down back in the middle of the field. Check Lewis Jones with the hit on the quarterback. Shields.
Ian Shields, we talked about trying to deliver a blow on the quarterback even if he pitches the ball. Lewis Jones is assigned to Ian Shields on this play. Forehead on forehead.
Shields, big kid too, at 6'2", 208 as a rover. Much like Tommy Smith, who's at 212, same height. Lewis will be the man next year. He's only a sophomore, and he started against Arizona State this year. 3rd and goal from the 1-yard line. He won't do it.
Let's count purple shirts on this pile. We got
about 5.
Big crowd of Huskies on Ian Shields.
They were not about to suffer the wrath of the first unit on defense if they allowed a score.
Well, they get one more chance at it right here.
4th and goal from the 1. It's a whole different way of thinking when you're running an offense like this. You don't send in a play necessarily. Andy Mason in the first unit checking it out. Darius Turner trying to rumble with the feet. 4th and goal. Touchdown, Oregon State. Chad Paulson. Paulson comes in with his 5th touchdown.
Well, Steve talked about the success that Oregon State has had in 4th down conversions when they were short yardage conversions.
And the vast majority have been this play right here. 2nd back through, Chad Paulson.
Well, we've seen it already once on 4th and short today. That time the lead block on Steve Springstead. Get the linebacker on the ground. Left Paulson room up top.
Let's see how well we have Colas kicking the extra point now. Pettibone's had enough.
This is the first kick for Tim Colas ever at Oregon State as a kicker.
He is the normal backup, but there you go. I guess that tells you how troubled Jamie Burke is right now. And we'll be back after a 45-16 score here in Husky Stadium. 6th-ranked Washington leading Oregon State, hoping to have a 6-1 conference record, and will have that at the end of this game and be 9-1 for the year so far. There's the little quick hit as we spreading out very quickly. Oregon State from the huddle, barely spread out. And Steve, you can explain this better than anybody. And then they kick off.
Well, the intention is just that, number one, they catch the the deep backs lining up a little bit shorter. So you try to then pump the ball right over the top of their head. They have to go back and field it, and then you catch them in an advantageous position. It has not worked well. They've tried it 4 or 5 times this year. Really haven't gotten anything out of it until today when they did get the one short return.
Nakani comes into the game. Tom Nakani as the quarterback. 1st and 10 from the 30. And Eugene Harris carries the ball out beyond the 35 to the 37-yard line. And for Oregon State's drive, again, it was Chad Paulson getting his 5th touchdown of the year on the ground for Oregon State, their 2nd of the day, which capped a 70-yard drive. Incidentally, Oregon State with 260 total yards. They got 135 in the last 2 drives. So most of those yards coming here in the 4th quarter, or not most, but half.
Nakani at quarterback. Been a good practice player for a number of years for Washington as he gives to Harris. And he is short of the first down.
Eugene Harris, the ball carrier. Gain of about 4 yards.
Down to a minute 40 seconds left in the game.
So Todd Bridge, Eugene Harris, Richard Thomas, Eugene McCarthy. A lot of players getting a chance to see the field.
As they should. Coming down to a minute 20. So Washington will now go on to Washington State in Pullman for the Apple Cup. As they'll keep it on the ground to let the clock keep rolling and rolling. I'm sad to see so many fans leaving when they know that the seniors are going to be introduced. Sorry to see that.
Well, your game next week should be exciting. That might be a battle royal over there with Mr. Bledsoe and his crew.
Especially depending on what they do against Stanford.
Obviously, as we speak at this time, we don't know the results of the Arizona USC or Stanford Washington State game. The Huskies, as you are watching this game right now, may be Pac-10 champions, or they may be going to Pullman for a winner-take-all.
Some good action by Leon Neal, who was a wide receiver on the depth charts beginning the season and is carrying the ball as a tailback. After all the injuries to Bino Bryant and Jay Barry, they had to bring Neal in to take some snaps at the tailback spot.
A very versatile player, good in the open field, not very big.
We may get one more play before the game's over with, as the practice or the scouting team gets some action out there. Good on them. Boy, they put in a lot of work at practice, never to enjoy the games themselves. Neal still rolling down to the 43-yard line. Neal showing us some stuff.
Oregon State had a 62-yarder the last play of the game a week ago by UCLA.
Leon is only a redshirt freshman out of Long Beach.
We told you that he was good out in the open field. You see, he's not bad in traffic either. Pretty shifty, good leg drive. The Husky home season comes to a close.
And Don James and the Huskies go to 9-1. And Don is 2-0 against Jerry Pettibone, as Oregon State will now go to 1-8-1 for the year, and will close things next week as Oregon comes into Corvallis. The Ducks against the Beavers, and the Huskies head to the Palouse to take on the Cougars next Saturday. The final 45-16. Back with a final comment. That's it for home games for the Washington Huskies as they defeat Oregon State 45-16. That's 13 straight home games now that they have won throughout the 91 and 92 seasons. So final comments, first of all, from our pal from Corvallis and Oregon State, Steve Priest.
No injuries.
That's what Jerry Pettibone wanted.
And bring on the Ducks. And it was great to work with you guys. Thanks a lot.
Great to have you with us. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, good luck in the Civil War now against Oregon down in Corvallis this year. Mr. Nelson, our last broadcast together this year. Any comments? Phew, it's over.
7 home games today, the last one. The Huskies got better today, something that they really wanted to do. They got through it. They also didn't have any injuries. They established themselves once again as a dominant team in the conference, if not to the rest of the conference, then also to themselves. And I think they feel a lot better about themselves than they did a week ago today.
And from here, we turn it over to the able hands and voices of Bud Namick and Clete Casper for the Apple Cup. It'll be in Pullman. Chuck will be joining them for that broadcast, and you will see that, of course, on Prime Sports Northwest. For me, that's it. It's time to break out the round balls and start doing some...